Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. I am Titash from Bangladesh.
Well, it's very nice to meet you. How is everything going for you?
Nice to meet you too. Doing good. And what about you?
Yeah, right. Is it hot there in Bangladesh right now?
Yes, temperature is so hot and yeah, but now we are all staying at home due to coronavirus.
Right.
Can you talk to about sleep?
About sleep. Okay, so sleep. And so what about you? Do you get enough sleep at night?
I normally sleep almost 6 hours every night.
Mm-hmm.
I go to bed about midnight and I get up at 6 a.m. I know it's recommended 8 hours every person is
Right.
taking sleep, but I find it hard to sleep for the long time. So how do you sleep every day?
I usually try to sleep around 7.5 to 8 hours. Usually that's my average sleep time. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
And I don't know,
So
how do you do, like, when you don't get enough sleep? Do you feel any sort of physical symptoms or emotional, changes when you don't get enough sleep?
yeah, that one's actually I feel very drowsy and I can't make concentration in my task and
Mm-hmm.
I feel sleepy. Yeah. So I think sleep is very necessary for everyone.
Right, you're right. Some people get sad. They actually suffer like deep sadness or depression when they don't get enough sleep. It has a lot of emotional effects.
Right.
And of course, you know that for optimal health, you have to sleep about 8 hours a day, because you think about that all of your recuperative physical and emotional processes take place while we sleep. For example, our immune system is rejuvenates while we sleep. Our nervous system recalibrates itself while we sleep. We have a male, we have testosterone and HGH, which is human growth hormone. Those are two very essential hormones that are produced by the body during sleep. So there's a lot of
Okay.
very necessary,
Positive side.
well, yeah, they have to happen. But the negative side is if I don't sleep enough, then all of those things start to deteriorate. Those mechanisms start to deteriorate. And so it will have an adverse effect on our health.
Also, the time will be consumed. So your productive time will be consumed because if you go to sleep more and more times, right?
Yeah. And they've done
So
studies that show that if you don't sleep well at night, like if you are chronically underslept, it actually during the daytime hours, it has some of the same psychological effects as if you were drunk. It affects actually your safety when you drive. They say that drivers who are sleepy are just as dangerous as a drunk driver.
right. And
Yeah.
they make some mistakes and they make some accident. Oh my God. So those are totally unexpected.
Yeah. Also, your reaction time slows down considerably. It takes longer for you to respond to an emergency. For example, it takes longer for your mind to send the image to your brain to push on the brake pedal when there is something in the road.
Okay. Is it necessary to take a nap every day?
It's not necessary, but if it's done with moderation, it will help with certain, for example, they've done studies that show that if a person takes a 10-minute nap every day, your risk of heart disease reduces by 40%. That's the last study I saw on it. But if you take too long of a nap, your risk of heart disease goes up 60%. Can you believe that? So you
Oh
have
my
to be
God.
balanced about it. It has to be between 10 and no longer than 20 minutes. Yeah.
In my case, yes, definitely. I think taking a nap necessary to recharge your battery, right?
Yeah,
And
definitely helps.
after working hard in the morning, right, we should take a nap.
I think so
And
too.
but 20 minutes, I think, would be enough, right?
Definitely, definitely. And you know what they say that, and I believe it's true, they say that you want to keep it no more than 20 minutes because what happens is once your brain starts entering into deep sleep, your brain starts producing several chemicals for preparing you for a long-term sleep episode. And so if you wake yourself up before, once you've entered into the deep sleep process, and you wake up, you are very sluggish. You feel very tired. It's hard to wake up. You know how you feel like, you feel sometimes worse than when you started the nap. It's because you went into the deep sleep mode and your brain is not designed to pull out of that phase of sleep. That's why it's better. You feel much more refreshed if you keep the nap short.
Okay. So can you sleep in a noisy environment?
Yeah, I can't. No, I can't. What about you?
Uh, Definitely no. To be honest, I'm a light sleeper, and the noise place will destroy my night. I feel exhausted the next morning if I sleep in a noisy place.
Ah, wow.
Do you read before going to bed?
Seldom, but I should because it definitely makes me sleepy. What I've noticed about myself is, I've read several times that you should never watch TV or read into position that you sleep in. And I notice this about myself. If I lay down and I read or I watch a movie laying down, and then when the movie's over, it's time to sleep, my muscles are already sore and achy from being in that laying down position. And so it's harder to fall asleep. And so that's one thing I've noticed about myself. It's much better if I watch TV sitting up, and then when I finally sleep, I go into lay position and I immediately fall asleep. But
Okay, but in my case, it's not uh, effective for me because when I'm going to read books, that times actually I'm thinking, what is the matters and what is that times I'm thinking about the storyline. And when I am thinking about the storyline, then I'm going to deeper to deepest. And actually, I'm thinking over, and I think it's not helpful for me. And that time, I think I should read more and let's see what happening in the next.
oh, that's interesting.
How do you have a good sleep?
The factors for me to help me have a good sleep, one is don't eat too late. Don't do anything that's going to get me really excited. For example, I don't do any intense energy, like any intense exercise within an hour of sleeping, because the chemicals in my body are pumping and your metabolism speeds up. I also tried to avoid looking at television screens or anything before I go to bed because the light eyes register the light and it confuses your physiological processes that prepare you for sleep. Your eye has the ability to register dwindling light. And as our eye registers that the sun is going down, it starts to prepare our metabolism in our brain for sleep. And it releases a bunch of chemicals that slow our metabolism. And so if I watch a television or, some people believe, and I think it's true, that if you're exposed to certain kinds of light too close to your eye, it confuses your brain into thinking that it's not nighttime for sleep anymore. So I try to be careful of that.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, drinking a glass of water help us to get a good sleep, as well as we should avoid mobile or TV, laptop, right? Because those are distraction for sleep, right? We should take outside and then turn off the light. Then if I go to the bed, then I think we can get a better sleep and it's help a lot.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, you have to avoid too many distractions.